Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and today we are taking a look at two of the latest drops from Warhammer 40k, two new video games, cinematic trailers just dropped, and we are going to be answering the age-old question. Is this Games Workshop making cheap cash grabs, or are these actually going to be legitimately good games? Let's get into it and try to find out. This is the Darktide cinematic trailer. All right, never heard of Fat Shark. Not necessarily intrinsically bad, but again, you would want to see them licensed to a AAA studio.
The city of Tertium is under attack. My city.
Copyrighted. Don't dare make a fan animation of this or GW's gonna crush you like a bug.
A dark tide of chaos is rising.
Okay, gotta love the fact that 40,000 years into the future, you're still using trains. Not only just trains, but steam engines, in fact, right? This is the old school. You could see that plume of smoke coming out the front. That says that this is burning some fossil fuel, something that produces a dirty fossil fuel at that, right? And classically, it's going to be sooty coal with just that you're just shoveling into a furnace. That coal is going to heat up a bunch of steam, and that steam is going to drive the pistons that power the train. This is why there used to be on old school locomotives a guy whose job was literally just to shovel coal into the furnace and power the train.
It's rising. Our best fighters are falling.
Uh-oh, chaos corruption. That's how we know the crazy skulls. There's something about chaos that just makes you say, you know what would really give this a pop? A skull. Oh, and they've added in zombies. You know, that's one of the things that's like the best part about the Warhammer 40k universe is whatever you want, you can just stick it in there because there's literally a million planets. So sure, one of them has a chaos Nurgle plague that just turns you into a zombie. Sure, why not? I mean, I love a good hack and slash zombie game. Believe you me. So I'm just completely pleased with this.
It's time to try new tactics. Something different. Something desperate. We take you, the outcast and the criminal, the lost and the damned, because you have nothing left to lose.
Okay, so it sounds like the scenario is that they've taken what we would consider probably basically, in real history, we call these penal battalions. And oftentimes they are battalions of, or military units of, well, soldiers who are criminals for one reason or another. Now, conventionally, we think of them like in this scenario, where they're like petty thieves or heretics or something. But oftentimes penal battalions were made up sometimes of soldiers who would literally commit a crime, like, for example, being drunk on duty or stealing, and they would be sentenced to X months with the penal battalion. They would serve with the penal battalion and then return to a conventional unit. Sometimes you would have penal battalions that were prisoners of war. So they would be assigned to tasks that were seen as well, needed to get done, but could only be done by prisoners of war. So these battalions would often be unarmed, right? They would literally be under guard. They would be a work battalion. Then you also had penal battalions that literally were made up of straight criminals. But what's interesting is that throughout history, most of the time, you could have just units staffed with criminals anyway. You wouldn't need a special criminal-only battalion, right? For most of history, right, being a infantry warfighter, right, a regular line soldier, was an extremely low-skill task. It was enemy that way, charge that way. So even as late as the Vietnam War in the United States, you had judges who would sit there and go, hey, I think you're a criminal. You're not so serious that you can't be around other people. So you can go join the army. You fight in Vietnam, you have no criminal record. That was legal. That was a legal option available to judges. And that was extremely common. I strongly suspect, in fact, there's a lot of evidence actually that the modern Russian military is relying on similar tactics. People are charged with crimes. Sometimes those crimes are unfortunately political crimes like protesting the war. And as punishment, they are assigned to a combat battalion. They are trained and sent to Ukraine. And that's been true through a lot of history, right? They've been assigned to Chechnya and Afghanistan. So I would say that this is historically, by human standards, this is a typical outcome. You recruit traditionally from sort of the bottom tier of your society. Now, what's interesting is that only in modern militaries like the United States, the UK, have they realized that to operate the high-tech equipment in a modern, like information and technology-heavy warfare, that you actually don't want the bottom strata of your society. You actually, while you certainly could recruit from Harvard, and some officers are recruited from these elite institutions. There's a lot of enlisted folks that are actually recruited from not the bottom strata, but like the more middle strata of society. This means that they have completed their secondary education, so they can read, write, do some complex mathematics, read and understand and follow directions. And this just means that those sort of soldiers are easier to lead. They are more able to think and operate independently. And while there are fewer in number, right, the U.S. military could expand its numbers by several times if it was willing to sit there and say, hey, we can recruit you right out of jail. We can recruit you if you haven't finished high school. We can recruit you if you can't read or write, or if you don't like speak English as a native language. Well, sorry, you don't have to speak English as a native language, but you have to have a basic English proficiency. If you're willing to scoop all those people out, right? We won't drug test you. Yes, you would get more warm bodies, but they would be hard to just supervise, right? And it would be almost impossible to train them to, say, calculate artillery trajectories or, forecast logistics. And that's something that, unfortunately, now we expect our specialists, an E4 supply sergeant should be able to order supplies, think about the next iteration of supply, prepare, organize. Those are things with not a ton of guidance. So again, this is probably something that looks like the typical human experience, just random dregs. And only in modernity do we see the selection of the regular line soldier being from a smarter, better educated strata of society. But when they have to just fight zombies, well, you know what? You're still smarter than the zombies. Okay, I gotta say, the facial animations, man, not loving it. Like, look, there's the face is completely unchanged. Yeah, okay. You're not. Maybe the gameplay will be good. But just like, if you can't get this stuff right after a minute, let's look at this other guy's face. Okay, that face was more expressive. That's good. Okay, let's be honest. The Imperium is going to let an unlicensed psyker fight zombies? Probably not. Unless he's supposed to be some sort of techno wizard, like this is just all technology.
So you're the scum we're counting on now. And if it's come to this, then God Emperor help us all.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think they'd let an unlicensed psyker just sort of run rampant on a world. But nonetheless, this has immense promise, right? I want it to be good. I really want it to be good. I think it can be. I mean, here's the thing. Look at Team Fortress 2, right? They're the game from 2012. The animation is cartoony, right? But the gameplay is solid. And it's like, you can make really solid gameplay and users will forgive everything else. Guess what? Class-based warfare, PvE experiences, they can be fun. They can be really fun. I really have a lot of optimism for this. And again, maybe I'll probably live stream it. In case you haven't noticed, I've sort of tried to move all my gaming content here to MHGR, and CVR is focused on, well, other like real world content. Rejects will rise. These are the terribly painted models. That's what these are. These are the embodiment of the terribly painted models. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, one, they all have the Inquisition stamp, which is extra weird. Extra weird. The second, yeah, these guys are just like, that's why the face looks so weird. They're like, oh yeah, the model just isn't right. This person just screwed up the face so bad, they just painted on a gas mask. This was supposed to be a Skitarii model, but they screwed it up and they're like, they're just a cyber guy. All right, September, baby. We're looking out. Okay, let's take a look at Boltgun. Boltgun is even more intriguing to me, honestly. I won't even spoil it. But if you haven't watched it, you should watch it yourself. Jamie Stuff, 1999. Okay, the level of meta is actually pretty cool. Second, I can't tell if this is a CGI or real recording. I think it's real. Yeah, it's real. Okay, this is just fun. All right, so for full disclosure, in 99, I was like 12. So this is like personal nostalgia. The Magic 8 Ball, the multicolored Slinky, yes, these were staples. The old school gaming keyboard in the off-white, even with the darkened keys, so cool. And shout out to him, 99's Chaos Space Marines, and also the sick like radical stickers. These are also fun, man. That the 90s were the rise of like skater culture in the mainstream, right? People would have the spiked hair that was, you put so much gel in it that it was crusty. But you wanted those spikes to be spiky and have that sheen. You had the frosted tips. Man, yeah, it's just everybody wanted to be a skater, except for me. I couldn't skate to save my life. And I was just not cool. So I didn't have to worry about how much of a skater I looked like because I was just already too lame for my own good. This is just fun. So, okay, this is neat. It looks like somebody made a DIY Warhammer 40k shooter called Boltgun. Emperor protects. The light of the something protects us. May the light of the Emperor protect us. 40k. Confidential. Development. Okay. This is actually pretty sick that they've gone for the pixelated, simple graphics. So it's not sure, is it Doom levels of pixelation or is it like Unreal, Unreal, oh my gosh, not Doom, help me out, something 9000, there was rocket launchers, you could jump everywhere. I don't know, I can't think of it. I think it was Unreal Online. Yeah, where it was like simple polygon graphics. But this is actually one of the things that I really like is that, look, you could clearly see that the dynamic gameplay is actually pretty cool. And because they were sit there and said, listen, let's not worry too much about graphics. Like, make the sick pixel art, but you don't have to render it so much. And now we can focus on making awesome gameplay. So this is actually probably the one I'm most optimistic about, especially because they're like, we don't need it to be a game changer. We charge people $9.99 for it, and we give them, 12 hours of campaign, and we give them a fun, simple multiplayer that's well balanced, and we just cut them loose, and we like drop new maps every so often if people really like it. Okay, that would be sick if you could do like the melee transition attacks and stuff. Oh, interesting. Yeah, powered on Unreal Engine. On Xbox, PC, PS4, PS5. Yes, I want to use my PS5 hardware. I want to use my gaming PC hardware to power this pixelated madness. I'll do it, man. I'll do it. 2023. Oh my God. By that time, climate change will have destroyed the Earth. Anyway, I'm actually more optimistic about Boltgun than I am for anything else. This is, I mean, again, they know the age of their audience. The typical Warhammer consumers, probably my age. So they're like, hey, we're going to give you something that feels like Wolfenstein, that feels like Duke Nukem, right? These were some of the classic games. And now that you have the ability, if you don't have to create the world's greatest graphical experience, though I want to point out something, that modern monitors have a resolution that's several times what the old cathode ray tube monitors would have. And so the pixelated graphics of the past actually looked crisper on cathode ray tubes because they were like transmitting pixels. You could see some examples of it if you Google it, cathode, like CRT monitor pixel art, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Actually, let me see. I think I could show you guys right now, right? Pixel art, CRT versus LCD. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Check it out. Okay. So look, this is an example of the difference. Here we go. This is what you would see. So this is what pixel art looks like, and this is how it would appear on a CRT. You can see that the CRT actually, like, especially from a distance, your eye kind of fills in the details itself. And so instead of looking like a hodgepodge, it actually looked cleaner. Here's another good example of, right, the old school, this is what the pixel programming says it is, and then displayed on a cathode ray tube, you can see it actually cleans up. So again, I think the Boltgun, right, has the ability to take that vibe and bring it into the modern era. And without the constraint of having to develop really good graphics, I think you can make the gameplay awesome. So I'm optimistic, guys. Let me know in the comments if you guys are. And also do me a favor, hit subscribe, because obviously I'm trying to get myself to 100K. I want that silver plaque, and hitting subscribe is free. It doesn't mean that you're gonna have it doesn't mean that you're going to get every single video, right? Okay. Also, thanks to, of course, the patrons of Patreon. If you want some exclusive content, including videos that are too spicy for YouTube, you want to check out the Patreon. Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next one.